In the year 2135, the Earth was silent. No wars, no large conflicts. Mankind had reached peace, but peace always hides something. High above the Earth, satellite station, orbit I 6 inches floated alone. It watched everything. It saw weather changes, asteroid movements, and deep space signals. But today, it saw something different. Not from space, not from the sky. The signal was coming from the Earth itself. Deep beneath the Arctic ice. The signal was slow, repeating, not in any human language. It was as if someone or something was knocking from inside the planet. The signal was just 5 sounds, played again and again. Thumb. 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 Pause. Thumb. No code, no pattern, no pattern, no meaning. But somehow, it felt like a heartbeat, inside. The Global Science Union, GSU headquarters in Geneva. Dr. Lena Ross was called in. She was one of the world's best in alien communication systems. Lena stared at the screen. The signal had been playing for 2 hours. She listened carefully. "It's not just a sound," she said. "It's waiting." "Waiting for what?" asked Commander Briggs. She looked at him with quiet fear. A reply. The Arctic was silent, cold, and deadly. A GSU team was sent to the location. They called it Site Zero. It was right in the center of a frozen land where no life had ever been found. No animals, no plants, no bacteria. The snow was hard like stone. And under that, miles below, was something metal. They drilled for 3 days. On the 4th day, they found a black wall, smooth and warm to the touch, buried in the ice. It should have been cold. But it wasn't. The wall had marking symbols. Circles inside circles, lines that crossed through stars. And in the center, a single handprint, larger than any human's. Dr. Lena touched it. The wall made a low hum. Lights appeared, glowing red. And the signal stopped. Back in Geneva, panic spread. All satellites went silent for 7 seconds. Every screen across GSU turned black, then showed one sentence in English. "You have heard the warning. Do not wake the commander." Nobody knew what it meant. The commander? Who was that? Was it a person? An alien leader? Some believed it was a trick. Others believed it was real. But the team at Site Zero had no time to debate. The black wall was now opening. Inside was a tunnel, perfectly round. The walls were made of metal and stone. They walked slowly, lights shaking in their hands. The tunnel went down, deeper than any machine could dig. There was no wind, but they could hear whispers. Not loud, not clear, but like something was speaking just behind their ears. One soldier, Private Daniels, began to cry for no reason. "They're watching," he said, staring into the dark. They never stopped watching. Lena kept moving forward. She felt no fear, only curiosity. Her eyes were drawn to a room ahead. It was a chamber. At the center was a large pod, shaped like a coffin. But floating in the air, the pod had the same symbols. And inside, they saw a shape, humanoid, 7 feet tall. Skin like steel. Eyes closed. Above the pod, a strange screen turned on by itself. No wires, no power. And on it, a recording began to play. The voice was clear, deep, and not human. But the words were in English. "If this message plays, then the humans have found the resting site. This is not good. This is not safe." The image showed Earth from space. Then, images of humans from different times, soldiers, kings, scientists, farmers. "We watched your rise. From fire to flight, from blood to balance. You are the only species we feared. The only one that created destruction before understanding." It showed cities burning, bombs falling, skies dark with war. And yet, you also created hope, art, music, love, unity. You were a mystery to the galaxy. You broke rules without knowing them. The voice paused. But now you must make a choice. Wake the commander, and you begin a chain of events that cannot be stopped. The screen went dark. The chamber shook slightly. The pod glowed red. And one word appeared on the wall behind it. Decide. Commander Briggs, watching from the control room in Geneva, gave the order. Seal the chamber. No one wakes anything. But the door had already closed. The team was trapped inside. Private Daniels lost control. He screamed and fired his weapon. At the pod, the bullet never hit. It stopped midair. Then dropped to the ground. The pod opened slightly. Gas hissed out. A heartbeat sound filled the room again. Thumb. Thumb. Lena stepped forward, heart racing. We didn't mean to wake you, she whispered. We want to understand. Nothing happened. The chamber fell silent. Then, slowly, the being inside opened its eyes. Not red, not blue, but pure white light. He didn't move. But his voice echoed. In their minds, you touched the warning. You ignored the message. You seek knowledge but are not ready to carry it. Lena stepped back. Who are you? I am one of the 11, the Watchers, the Defenders, and you are the reason we exist. At the same time, across the world, strange events started happening. In Egypt, an ancient statue turned its head toward the sky. In Japan, children began drawing the same symbol seen on the pod. None had ever seen it before. In Brazil, a radio tower began broadcasting the same 5-sound signal, though it had no power. And in the skies, something moved just outside Earth's orbit. It wasn't a satellite. It was watching. The commander did not rise from the pod. But he spoke again. You are not the first to find us. But you are the first to reach this far without killing yourselves. That is progress. Small, but progress. He closed his eyes. The pod sealed again. The lights faded on the walls. The symbols changed. Now they showed images of Earth in the future. One path showed cities full of light, peace, and green forests. The other showed darkness, machines fighting machines, and skies filled with fire. The final symbol was clear. 2 doors. Only one would open. Lena took photos, her hands shaking. Back in Geneva, the scientists gathered. They had seen things no one would believe. We've always looked to the stars, Lena said. But maybe the truth was always beneath us. The question remained, why were these beings afraid of us? And if they had warned others about us, what had they seen in our future? Before Lena Ross found the black pod, before the commander opened his eyes, there was a message, a warning. But no one listened. Year 2042, 90 years earlier. Dr. Alina Gray sat alone in a small lab deep under the Pacific Research Base. She wasn't famous. She wasn't rich. But she was brilliant, too brilliant, some said. She worked on decoding space signals, waves of sound that came from stars, moons, or even unknown sources. One morning, a strange signal appeared on her screen. It was weak, broken, and short. 5 beats repeating every 4 hours. Thumb, thumb. Pause, thumb. She played it again. Then again. It didn't come from space. It came from Earth, from under the ice. From the same place the 2135 team would later call Site Zero. Back then, nobody cared. But Alina couldn't let it go. She took the data to her supervisor, Dr. Marrow. The signal is not natural, she said. It's repeating in exact patterns. Someone placed it there. Dr. Marrow laughed. Aliens under the ice? Alina, we study science, not science fiction. But look at the timing. The way it pulses, it's like language. He smiled in a cold way. Delete it. We don't chase ghost signals here. She didn't. She saved it, copied it, hid it. For the next 6 months, she studied it alone. No help, no sleep, no break. And then one night, The signal changed. It spoke. Not in sound. Not in voice, but in image. Her screen flashed. Black, then white. Then a simple drawing appeared. A handprint. Larger than human. Then a symbol, a circle with 3 lines crossing it. Below it, one sentence appeared. You are not ready to know. What lies beneath? Alina shook. She had never seen this before. No program she used could create such a thing. She backed up everything. Notes, images, voice logs, and sent them to a secret storage file labeled, "For those who listen." Then she vanished, back to 2135. Present-day Lena Ross was back in Geneva. After the discovery at Site Zero, she couldn't sleep. The commander's words echoed in her mind. You touched the warning. You ignored the message. She started looking through old files, anything about Arctic signals, buried tech, or ancient warnings. That's when she found it. An old digital vault. Locked, protected, named. For those who listen, she opened. It. Inside were Alina Grace's logs, video clips, voice messages, and her final journal. Lena clicked play. Alina's face appeared, tired, pale, but serious. If someone finds this, then they listen to the signal too. I tried to warn them. I tried to tell them something is down there. I saw things, visions. I dreamed of a tall figure in metal. Eyes like stars. It spoke without speaking. It wasn't evil. But it was disappointed, as if we were a failed test. She coughed, then leaned closer to the camera. You must find Echo Point. It's the key. It holds the next piece. I couldn't go. They stopped me. But maybe you can. The video ended. Lena's hands trembled. She searched for Echo Point. It wasn't on any normal map. But in old files from 2042, it appeared once. A forgotten site in Greenland. Marked off limits after a failed mining operation. Coordinates 73N 41. Lena knew what she had to do. Greenland. 2 weeks later, Lena arrived at Echo Point under a false name and with forged permits. The area was cold and quiet. No roads, no buildings. Just snow, wind, and silence, but something felt wrong. Her GPS led her to a crack in the ice. Not natural. It was straight, sharp, like something had cut through it. She climbed down. Below was a narrow tunnel, like the one at Site Zero, but older, broken, covered in frost. She turned on her light and moved forward. The tunnel walls were covered in the same symbols, circles, stars, and the handprint. But these were damaged, scratched out, burned, almost as if someone tried to hide them. She reached a door. It wasn't locked. It opened slowly with a soft hiss. Inside was a small room. At the center, a metal cube floated in the air, glowing faintly blue, and next to it was a human skeleton. A name tag lay near the bones. Dr. Alina Grace. Lena fell to her knees. Alina had come here, alone, died here. And yet, the cube still glowed. She reached out. The moment her fingers touched it, the cube opened. A voice filled the room. Not Alina's, not the commander's, but someone else. To the one who dares seek truth, beware. The galaxy watches Earth not with wonder, but with fear. You were never meant to wake them. You were meant to pass the test or fail. Silently. Now that you have disturbed the silence, others will come. The cube showed visions fast, flashing images Lena couldn't stop. A city floating in space. A creature with no face, speaking to thousands. A war between light and shadow. Earth burning. Then the message ended. The cube shut. Lena stood there, breathing heavily. What was Earth's test? Who else was watching? What did they mean by others? Back in Geneva, Lena shared nothing. Not yet. Not until she understood more. But that night, she received an anonymous message. No name. Just a symbol, the same circle with 3 lines. The message said, "He is not the only one asleep. There are more." Beneath the dust, the sea, and the sky. Lena stared at it for a long time. Then the power cut off in her lab. Her screen turned black, and a voice whispered soft, cold but clear. The test has begun. Echo Point was not silent anymore. For centuries, it had remained hidden, frozen under Greenland's ice, untouched by human hands. But now, something had changed. Someone had entered. Someone had touched the cube. And the cube had spoken. Lena Ross stood inside the small chamber, still breathing fast. The glowing cube had shown her things, visions of distant planets, strange creatures, a war not yet fought. Her heart raced. The walls seemed to whisper. Cold air turned warmer. She heard a soft sound behind her, a low hum. Then the wall at the far end of the chamber began to crack. Lines of light spread across it like veins. The wall slid open, revealing a staircase made of metal. It led down into the dark. She took out her camera and flashlight, then began to descend. Each step made no sound. The stairs were smooth, curved, and ancient, yet they felt alive. They glowed faintly under her feet. Symbols appeared on the walls as she walked. Moving symbols, alive like water, shifting like wind. Then came the carvings. Lena stopped to stare. They were not just art, they were a story. The walls showed Earth, long before humans. Then, strange machines rising from the ground. Then a tall figure standing between two worlds. One world showed peace, the other showed war. And under it all, a message glowed softly in her language. We watched, we waited, we warned. At the count of two, bottom of the stairs, Lena found a door made of black stone. In the center, a HANDPR, just like the one on the Site Zero pod. She hesitated, then placed her hand on it. Nothing happened, but behind her, something did. The cube she carried, Alina's cube, rose into the air and floated toward the door. It sank into the stone like water disappearing into sand. Then the door opened. Inside was a large round room, dark and silent. A platform hovered above the ground, and floating above it was a glowing orb the size of a small car. It pulsed with energy. Lena stepped closer. The orb flickered, and then projected a hologram into the air. A tall alien figure appeared, cloaked in white, with eyes like cold fire. It was not the commander from Site Zero. This one was older, sharper, not asleep but awake and angry. If you stand here, then the signal has been broken. One of the 11 has awoken. You cannot stop what comes next. The image flickered and showed Earth surrounded by shadows. They will not come to save you. They will come to see if you survived. Suddenly, the orb went dark. Then the room began to shake. The walls rippled like waves. A deep sound came from far below, like something big was waking up. Lena turned to run, but the door had sealed behind her. From the center of the floor, a pillar rose. On top of it, a book. Not made of paper, made of light. She reached for it. It didn't burn. It didn't blink. It opened. Inside were pages that turned themselves. Each page showed a moment from Earth's history, real and true. But not as humans knew it. It showed the fall of ancient cities no one remembered. It showed wars not recorded in any book. It showed skies torn open by ships shaped like knives. It showed the 11 tall beings, each different, each powerful, and in the center of them all, Earth. A planet under study, under watch. Not for what it had done, but for what it could do. One phrase appeared again and again. The humans will either rise or end all things. Lena closed the book of light. She felt dizzy, cold, but alive. Orb blinked once more, and this time a second message played. One commander has returned to rest, another remains in exile. The third is no longer with us. We must warn the others before they become what we feared. Then the image faded and silence returned. Back in Geneva, things were changing. GSU Command was receiving strange reports. Satellites were picking up strange heat signatures under ancient cities. A telescope in Chile saw a massive ship pass behind the moon, but no one could track it. A baby in Kenya began drawing symbols before she could speak. The same ones Lena had seen on the walls. Something had begun. Something global. Lena returned from Echo Point 3 days later. But she wasn't alone. With her, she brought the cube, the photos, and the coordinates of 3 more sites. One in the Sahara Desert, one in the Mariana Trench, and one floating high above Earth in a station that didn't exist on any map. She went to GSU Command. "This isn't just about Site 0, she told the leaders. "There are more. And we were warned long ago." But the world wasn't listening. Not yet. That night, in her apartment, Lena couldn't sleep. She turned on her screen and began reviewing Alina's last audio log again. But something was different. The recording had changed. "Lena," the voice said, "you've gone further than I ever did. Be careful. They are not watching anymore. They are preparing. I saw them once in my dream, and one of them wore your face." Lena stared at the screen. How did the recording know her name? At the same moment, in a hidden base in Moscow, a man named Yaroslav Kren received a message from deep space that it was not in any known frequency, that it was not a warning, that it was a call. He stared at it, then smiled. "They're finally moving," he whispered. "And so will we." He walked into a dark room filled with machines and one large tank. Inside, the tank floated a humanoid, shaped. Metal, alive, not human. He pressed a button. The being opened its eyes. Far above Earth, in low orbit, a satellite that hadn't worked in 10 years came to life. It turned slowly. Its single camera focused on one location, Greenland. The words appeared on its dusty screen. "Command chain re-established." Then the signal began again. Thumb. 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 Pause. Thumb. The signal had returned. Thumb. 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 It wasn't just in space. It wasn't just in the ice. It was coming from inside cities, from machines, from people. And no one could explain why. In Geneva, Lena Ross sat in her lab, staring at the signal on her screen. It had spread across the globe in under 12 hours. No one could trace it. No one could block it. No one could stop it. The signal was everywhere, on phones, on radios, on broken TVs that weren't plugged in, even in the humming of air conditioners. And then came the whispers. People across the world began reporting strange dreams. A mother in France saw a city made of glass and a shadow standing above it. A child in India woke screaming, repeating one word, "Watcher." A man in Peru swore he spoke with someone in his mirror who wore his face but had no eyes. All the dreams had one thing in common. The symbols, circles, lines, stars crossed with flame. The same ones Lena had seen on the pod, on the cube, on the Book of Light. Lena knew the truth was growing faster than she could hide it. She contacted her most trusted ally, Agent Kale Soren, a former intelligence officer who once worked on deep space monitoring. Kale was calm, focused, and skeptical of everything. "This is bigger than a discovery," Lena told him. "This is a test, and we're failing." He leaned forward. "You're saying this is some kind of invasion?" "No," Lena said. "It's not an invasion. Not yet, but they're already here." Kale raised an eyebrow. And Lena showed him. In 1984, a child was born in a small town in Finland. His name, Eero Helvik. Eero never got sick. His skin healed too fast. His heartbeat never changed, even under stress. He spoke fluently at age 2. By age 10, he could read 10 languages. By 25, he vanished from all records. Gone. Lena had found footage of him resurfacing in 2010, with a new name, a new face, but the same heartbeat. Thumb. Thumb. He had been one of them. Or changed by them. Hidden in plain sight. Lena believed others like Eero existed. Not aliens wearing skin, but humans carrying something alien inside them. Maybe they had been touched by the technology. Maybe they had been born near one of the sleeping sites. Or maybe they were the beginning of the next phase. Cale stood and locked the room. If you're right, he said, then someone somewhere already knows all of this, and they're not stopping it. Lena nodded. They're protecting it. In a high-tech base deep under Tokyo, a secret meeting was taking place. 5 people stood around a table, each with strange tattoos on their necks, hidden by scarves or collars. The symbols were the same, a handprint with 3 circles. They were the quiet circle, leaders of a global shadow network. Not spies, not soldiers, watchers. They didn't follow countries. They didn't answer to governments. They answered to something else, something older. A man with silver eyes spoke first. The commander has returned to rest. The chain has been disturbed. The next phase is near. Another voice, female, cold. Are the sleepers waking? Some already have. And more are listening. Meanwhile in Moscow, Yaroslav Kren had begun activating sleeper cells. People like Eero, raised among humans, trained to stay hidden, but now called by the signal. They were not violent. Not yet, but they were gathering. Back in Geneva, Lena and Cale studied old genetic data records from strange medical cases across the last 100 years. Children with no fingerprints. Men with 2 hearts. Women who never aged. People who died, but didn't stay dead. And all of them had visited or lived near sites like Echo Point. What if Earth didn't evolve alone? Cale whispered. What if we were always part of a bigger experiment? Lena replied quietly, not an experiment, a challenge. That night, Lena had a dream. She stood in a white room with no walls. The floor was like glass, showing stars far below. A figure stood in front of her. Not the commander. Not Alina. Someone new. Its body was made of light and shadow. Its voice was both man and woman. You have opened the book. You carry the knowledge. The 11 are no longer unified. Some wish to help, others do not. You must prepare your kind. She tried to speak, but the dream shattered. She woke gasping. On her arm, a small circle of light glowed under her skin. It faded after a few seconds, but she knew it hadn't been part of the dream. She was changing or being marked. Meanwhile, the world saw more signs. A satellite exploded over Australia without warning, no debris found. In Egypt, a sealed tomb opened by itself. Inside, a tablet showing the same watcher symbols. In New York, an entire subway train vanished between 2 stops. Security footage showed only static. And then darkness. Panic began to rise. Governments denied everything. News was blocked. But the signal kept spreading. Thumb. Lena met Cale one last time before disappearing. I found something else, she told him. There's a 4th site. One no one ever reached. Not on Earth. Cale frowned. Where? She smiled sadly. On the moon. She gave him a device. If I don't return in 5 days, open this. Then she left. Cale didn't ask why. He just nodded. Because now he believed her. That night, far above Earth, a shape moved across the stars. It was not a ship. It was not a moon rock. It was a being, wrapped in armor older than time. Its eyes opened, glowing white. Its voice traveled through the signal, carried in every wave, every screen, every dream. We arrived not to save you, but to see what you have become. You were warned. And now we watch. The Earth wasn't the only place hiding secrets. There was another door, a final one. And it was never meant to be opened by humans. But Lena Ross was no longer just human. 3 days later, moon orbit Lena stood inside a small shuttle, looking down at the gray surface of the moon. The craft was stolen, an old mining vessel no longer tracked by any system. She wasn't alone. Inside with her were two people, Dr. Malik Wren, an engineer from Nairobi who once studied deep space anomalies, and Juno Tal, a pilot with no home, no past, and strange memories of places no one had ever been. All three had heard the signal. All three had changed since. Echo Point. They followed the coordinates Lena had found inside the Book of Light. It led to a crater, one that wasn't on any public map. Crater 011X, a place even lunar rovers avoided. The shuttle landed in silence. There was no wind, no movement, just dust, rocks, and the feeling of being watched. As the crew stepped out in their suits, their coms picked up the familiar pattern. Thumb, thud, thumb, thumb, pause, thumb. But this time, it wasn't distant. It was right below them. They moved toward the crater edge. What they saw made them stop. Inside the crater was a perfect black circle, too perfect to be natural. It pulsed with a faint light, like a heartbeat. "This is a structure," Malik whispered. "It's built into the moon itself." Lena stepped forward. Her suit sensors went silent. No oxygen, no radio, no heat. But she kept walking. As she reached the edge of the black circle, a line of blue light ran beneath her feet. Then the ground began to shift. The center of the crater slowly opened like a lid. Beneath it was a door, a tall silver door, with alien symbols running down its sides. In the center, the circle with three lines, the same symbol, found across every site, the same one that appeared on her skin. Lena reached out and placed her hand on it. The door didn't move, but her mind did. Her vision blurred. She wasn't standing on the moon anymore. She was inside a memory, a vision, a message. She saw the 11 again, alien beings with tall forms, glowing armor, and eyes like stars. They were standing in a great hall. In the center, Earth, floating above a pedestal. "They are unstable," one said. "They adapt too fast," said another. "They have war in their blood." But one figure stood apart, taller, quieter, wrapped in dark silver. "Let them choose. If they pass, they rise. If they fail, they end." Then Lena saw herself standing between them, and behind her, a black shape was growing, reaching, smiling. She gasped and fell to her knees. The vision ended. The door opened. Inside was a long tunnel, made of metal older than Earth. Lights flickered on as they walked. Every step they took echoed as if something was listening. Malik looked at the walls. "These aren't just machines. This whole place is alive." Juno touched a panel and flinched. "I saw something, a city falling. People turning into ash." Lena nodded. "This is not just a test site. It's a warning center." At the end of the tunnel, they reached a circular room. At the center floated a black sphere, larger than the orb in Echo Point. It had no light, no glow, just darkness that pulled at their eyes. The moment Lena stepped closer, the sphere spoke. Not in sound but in thought. "You found the last door. Few do. Fewer survive. This place holds the records of failures, of planets that did not pass, of species that were removed." The sphere pulsed once. "Look." The walls lit up. They saw other planets, each with life once full of hope. A blue world covered in oceans and singing towers, burned to nothing. A green planet where stone creatures built cities in the clouds, silenced. A golden moon that once had children made of light, gone, one by one. Each had failed. Each had shown signs of what humans now showed: division, violence, greed, curiosity. Then Earth appeared. Your kind is the only one to open 4 doors, but the 5th is not meant to open. Lena asked aloud, "Why are you watching us?" "Because you are not like the others. You carry something unexpected. You evolve under pressure. You destroy and rebuild. You refuse to stay the same. Juno stepped forward. Then, why test us? Why not help us? Because help removes choice. Choice reveals truth. Then the sphere showed one final image, a door much larger than the others. Not on Earth, not on the moon. It floated in deep space. This is the fifth door. Behind it sleeps what even we fear. And it is listening to your kind. Suddenly, the sphere cracked. Lights shut off. Moloch shouted, "Something's coming." Outside the chamber, metal walls began to melt and twist. A voice, not the same one, spoke in a broken, angry tone. "You opened too many. You ignored the chain. The Watcher wakes." Lena grabbed the sphere. "We need to go, now." The tunnel began to collapse behind them. They ran, gravity shifting, air shaking, alarms blaring. As they reached the surface, the crater door sealed, shut, hiding itself once more. Their shuttle powered up just in time, but as they lifted off, Lena looked back and saw something move beneath the dust. Not a machine, not a building. A face. Watching. Smiling. Earth. Kale opened the device Lena gave him. Inside was a map. It showed all the sites, Earth, Moon, and one final blinking dot. Far beyond. The solar system, and two words burned on the screen. It's listening. Far beyond the moon, far beyond Mars, where no human ship had ever gone, a door floated in space. A door as large as a city. Black as night. Older than Earth. And it was awake. The fifth door. The one even the Watchers feared. Earth. Geneva command. Center. Kale Soren stared at the blinking signal on the map Lena had left him. It pointed to a place outside the solar system. A blank region. Nothing should exist there, but something did. The fifth door. He gathered the few people Lena trusted. Scientists, analysts, silent watchers. "We can't hide this anymore," he said. "Whatever is behind that door, it's waking up." A voice in the room asked, "Can we reach it?" Kale nodded slowly. "We already are." Through the signal. Everyone went silent. Because that meant something else too. The fifth door could hear them. Aboard the shuttle, leaving lunar orbit, Lena Ross sat in silence. Her eyes locked on the data from the moon site. The orb she carried now was different from the one at Echo Point. This one didn't glow. It pulsed in patterns. It spoke only in flashes of light, a code. Dr. Moloch was decoding it, while Juno piloted the shuttle. Suddenly, the lights inside flickered. The orb flashed violently. Lena heard a voice, not in her ears, but deep in her. "Mind, you have opened too much. The balance is broken." The fifth door was sealed for a reason. Flashback, unknown time, unknown place. Lena saw another vision, not of Earth, of a world burned black, oceans boiled away. Towers floating in the sky crumbled. Beings made of pure energy screaming in silence. In the center, a black gate wide open. And from inside it, a shadow crawling across space. A voice said, "They were like you, curious, brave. Too brave." They opened the fifth door. And then they were gone. Back in the present, Lena gasped. The fifth door isn't just a place. It's a prison. Moloch's hands trembled. Whatever's behind it. It's not just alien. It's wrong. Juno added, and it knows we're watching now. Earth, GSU, emergency broadcast all across the globe. Strange things were happening. Magnetic storms with no source. Machines turning on by themselves. Children drawing stars and gates in there. Sleep. Animals running from places humans couldn't sense. In Iceland, the northern lights changed shape, forming the outline of a hand. In Brazil, a man woke from a coma and spoke a language no one knew, but it matched the symbols Lena had found. And then it happened. The signal changed. For the first time in history, Earth received a direct message from beyond the stars. The message: you have broken the seal. The 11 feared this day. Now they run, hide, turn against each other. But the fifth never sleeps. Your kind so small, so young has reached beyond its place. Now we watch not with warning, but with judgment. Geneva. Command, panic they. Message was everywhere. Phones, screens, radios. Even in silence. It spread faster than anyone could. Stop. Kale stood before world leaders. This is not an invasion. This is a response. They warned us. We didn't listen. A general shouted. Then what do we do now? Kale looked around. Now we prepare. In orbit, Lena's shuttle. Lena activated the orb again. It showed her a final piece of the message. A map with 6 doors. One in Greenland, one in the Sahara, one under the ocean, one on the moon, one in deep space, and one that had not yet appeared. The orb flashed 3 words, final gate forming. Malik whispered, "There's another one. And it's going to open here, on Earth." Juno replied, "It's not just a door. It's a bridge." Lena nodded slowly. "It's how they come through." Deep in the ocean, Site 3 activates in the blackness of the Mariana Trench. A light appeared where there should be none. A massive gate previously asleep opened. Slowly. Machines long dead came alive. A signal stronger than all the rest blasted into space. And far away. The 5th door blinked once. Somewhere beyond the stars, the other side of the door. Inside the 5th door, something moved. Not a person, not a creature. A presence. A being made of dark energy. Formed from the minds of forgotten worlds. It had no face. It had no mercy. And now, it had a path. The human signal is clear. The chain is broken. The gate awakens. Let the Watcher rise. Earth, final warning across the globe. The 11 sent their last message. Not from space. From inside. Human minds, one by one. Those who had been marked, the children of the signal, fell unconscious. They spoke with voices not their own. You opened what was sealed. You brought light into the dark. Now the dark returns the favor. You will not be destroyed. You will be judged. Lena returned to Earth. She met Kale in a bunker far below Geneva. There's one final place, she said. One last hope. He looked at her. What is it? She opened her hand. The orb showed a gate deep under Antarctica, far older than all others. A door. Built not by the 11, but by someone else. Someone who once fought. The 5th. And lost. Long ago, before the first human walked the earth. Before the pyramids, before the oceans settled. There was a war. It never reached Earth. Because Earth was protected. But now, the last gate has begun to open, and the thing it holds remembers. Antarctica. Edge of the unknown. Lena Ross stood at the edge of a frozen cliff. Wind howled around her. The cold stung her face even through the gear. Behind her stood Kale Soren, Malik, and Juno, now fully committed to the mission. Beneath their feet, the final gate. Not just old, ancient. And it was not made by the 11. Using the data from the orb, Lena found the exact location, buried under a glacier that hadn't melted in millions of years. The ice there wasn't normal. It was black beneath the surface. Hardened, silent, untouchable by drills or fire. Until now. As Lena stepped closer, the ice began to crack itself. A line of glowing symbols appeared, stretching across the ground. It's waking, she whispered. Kale loaded his weapon. We sure it's friendly? Lena didn't answer, because she wasn't sure of anything anymore. Beneath the ice, the old chamber, the ice opened into a narrow tunnel. Just big enough for them to walk through one by one. Lights blinked along the walls, shapes and carvings. Unlike anything the 11 ever used. These symbols, Malik whispered, touching them. They're angry, like warnings, Juno added. No, not warnings. Locks. Something was sealed in here. They reached a chamber with no corners, just curves and black stone walls. In the center stood a pillar, floating without support. It pulsed with 2 lights, one blue, one red. Ice and fire. Lena stepped forward. The orb in her pocket grew warm. The voice from the deep suddenly. The pillars spoke, not with sound, but into their minds. You are not the first to come here. But you may be the last. We were before the 11. We warned them. They failed. Lena saw visions millions of years ago. A group of beings who stood against the fifth. Not gods. Not perfect, but strong. And they built this gate to trap the Watcher. They paid the price. You have awakened it, the voice said. But a choice remains, Kale asked aloud. What choice? To open the gate fully, or seal it forever. One path ends in extinction. The other, in transformation. Earth chaos spreads while Lena and her team explored the gate. Earth began to fall apart. Fires burned in cities with no source. People began hearing whispers in their sleep. Some vanished without trace, pulled by the signal. In New Delhi, a child walked into a wall and disappeared. In Canada, a frozen lake boiled from the inside. Everywhere, the same words echoed. The fifth is near. Back in the chamber, Lena stood before the pillar. The orb floated from her hand, hovered near the lights. Then it cracked. Inside, it was not a machine. It was an small silver, still blinking. A living thing. It spoke. Only one word. Choose. The teen stepped back. The pillar split open. Beneath it, a deep shaft, glowing red, leading into Earth's core. Malik whispered, This is the anchor. This is what holds the fifth back. Lena realized the truth. Fifth wasn't just coming through the gate. It was already growing inside the planet. The signal wasn't just a message, it was infection. To close the gate, the voice said, a life must be given, a marked one. Everyone turned to Lena. The mark on her arm began to glow. She was chosen. Kale stepped forward. We'll find another way, but Lena shook her head. There's no other way, not now. She looked at Juno and Malik. You need to go. This place will collapse if I activate it. They refused to leave until the ground began to shake. The final choice. The sky outside turned dark though. It was midday. Auroras of red and black danced over the South Pole. A shadow began to fall across the Earth from nowhere. The Watcher was almost here. Lena stood at the edge of the shaft. She placed her hand on the pillar. The eye blinked once. You are brave. That is rare. Your people may yet survive. But not without pain. She looked back one last time. Kale saluted her. Juno whispered, We'll tell them what you did. Malik pressed his hand to the wall in respect. Then Lena jumped. Fell into the fire. And the gate closed. Earth. Silence returns at once. The signal vanished from all devices. The sky cleared. The whispers stopped. The gates shut. Every one of them. Geneva. Kale's final report. Kale stood before a global broadcast. The truth could no longer be hidden. He told the world about the gates, the 11, the 5th, and Lena Ross, who gave her life to stop something far worse than war. He ended with one sentence. We are not alone. We never were, but now we are watched. Far beyond Earth, the 5th door in the empty part of space. The 5th door remained. It no longer glowed. But something still moved inside. And one final whisper slipped through the void. One gate closed, another will open. The world believed it was over. The sky cleared. The gates sealed. The whispers stopped. Humanity called it peace, but peace was only the surface. Underneath, something waited. Because nothing that ancient ever really leaves. 1 month later, Greenland snow blew across the mountains. Beneath it, deep underground, something pulsed. A small crew of researchers arrived to monitor seismic activity. They didn't know what had happened a month ago. The gates. The 5th, Lena Ross. They were told only to watch the ground. Then, one morning, the ground watched back. A black shape moved under the ice. And a voice whispered into the wind, "The chain is incomplete." Geneva Command Bunker Kale Sorin sat alone in a dark control room. Every signal had gone quiet since Lena's sacrifice. The orb was gone. The symbols vanished. Even the 11 had disappeared. Until today. A new signal appeared. This time, it wasn't pulsing. It was streaming a full transmission. Kale opened it. A video played. Not made by humans. It showed Earth, but not as it is. As it could be. Burning, empty, and then transformed. A sky filled with light, cities in the clouds, children made of energy. "There are two endings," the message said, "and they are both yours." A hidden satellite, unknown origin in orbit above Earth. A satellite no one had built turned toward the planet. It opened like a flower, revealing a metallic core. From it came a voice, not in words, in emotion, in pressure. People across Earth fell to their knees. Some cried, some screamed. Few smiled because they understood. Antarctica gate remains. Juno Tau returned to the place where Lena fell. The ice was quiet now. The gate sealed, but the symbols on the wall glowed once again. This time, they formed a single message. She is not gone. She is becoming. Malik stood beside her, decoding faster now. "It's not death," he whispered. "It's transition." She crossed to the other side of the door. Earth, the chosen, awaken all across the world. The children of the signal, the ones who were marked, began to wake from their comas. They spoke in unison. "She walks with the Watchers. She is the first human to cross and return. She brings the message." Suddenly, across the sky, no matter where people stood, the same shape appeared. A circle with 3 lines, the sign of the gates. And something new in its center. A human eye. Lena Ross. Between worlds. Lena stood in a place without sky, without ground, floating in a river of light and memory. She wasn't dead. Not anymore. She had passed through the 5th. The Watcher had spoken to her. Not in anger, not in hate, but in curiosity. "You are not like the others," it said. "You break, but you build. You fear, but you move forward. You are not the enemy. You are the answer." And now, it was sending her back. Earth, re-entry. A bright streak crossed the sky. It was not a meteor. It fell toward the Pacific, then disappeared beneath the waves. Days later, a woman washed ashore on an island in silence. She had no wounds, no heartbeat at first. Then, her eyes opened. Lena Ross was alive, but she was no longer just human. She had seen what lay beyond the doors, and brought something back. Global broadcast. Lena's return. The world watched as Lena stood at a podium in Geneva. She spoke slowly. The gates were not a trap, they were tests. The 11 were not masters, they were students. We were feared not because we are violent, but because we are fast. No species has ever reached the 5th so soon. And that scares them. She held up her hand. The symbols on her skin glowed not with alien light, but with Earth's own colors. The truth revealed behind her. Screens showed what she had seen. The war before Earth, the Watcher's prison, the civilizations that failed, and the ones that changed. She explained the truth. The 5th wasn't just destruction. It was evolution, but only for those ready to face themselves. "We are not being invaded," she said. "We are being invited." Earth, final phase. The old gates began to rise again, this time not hidden. The moon gate opened wide, revealing a path. The ocean gate glowed, sending new species to the surface. The Antarctica gate formed a beam into the stars. Then one final event. A new gate appeared in Earth's orbit. The 6th door, the one that wasn't supposed to exist. It was human-built, formed from old satellites and the remains of the 11s. Tech, a symbol of choice. The message from beyond. As it opened, a voice echoed across the universe. Not alien, Not machine, Lena's voice. We are no longer students. We are no longer test subjects. We are the bridge. And we are coming. Final scene. Distant galaxy, in a system with no name, a race of beings made of crystalline flame. Looked to the sky. A signal reached them. Not a warning, an invitation. They're coming, one said. The humans? Asked another. Yes, the first replied. And this time, they're ready. The end.